like to give you a warm welcome because you all offered your Monday afternoon to come to this conference. And what I would like to share with you is our vision. What is the reason why we started a project like DeeldeZon or Share the Sun? And that's the main thing we would like to express to you. But first of all, a little bit of a history. When did we start this project? And also our vision and the results and the lessons learned we have. Because we learned a lot, we did fall a lot, and that's something we would like to share with you, because a successful project is not always the best project. Because if something goes wrong, then you learn the most out of it, in my expression. And that's something we expressed rather deeply. Actually, in the beginning, we started in the winter of 2017. We submitted a proposal because I and myself, my colleague Marc, we work for a company which is called Zonova. And Zonova is a company which develops or initiates projects on the field of energy and mobility. We submitted a proposal, and we also had a working relation with Nissan and Engie, two large companies. And Marc, what was the reason why we needed to, why we didn't manage to work with them?
That's quite a difficult question, and the reason is that, as you see, first start winter 2017, and it was not clear what's all happening in our country, and also not in the Flanders, south of Netherlands situation. That we started with Nissan, a big company who had a lot of cars, DC, useful for a nice V2G solution. At that time it was quite difficult, and Engie was a company who had a lot of energy, but also the possibility of putting some extra money in this situation. But at that time, when we went to Antwerp for our first trying to get this project done, there was a problem, and the problem was that they were too big for us, they said, and they were afraid for state aid. So we had to say goodbye to them and start with all little companies, and that's something different.
Yeah, and left you see the companies where we finished with, and it's all small companies. But still, these small companies were, they also had their own funding. They need to bring their own funding to realize this project. It's quite a big effort they did.
Yes.
And also, we made in the beginning a choice. There was a study which is done by Innovate UK, and it was already mentioned. And Innovate UK found out that you could earn 1,500 euros per year, sorry, not per day, per year, little difference, by using vehicle to grid. And one of the lessons learned is this 1,500 euro wasn't applicable in the Netherlands. We find out it was at most 200, maybe less, per year. We also made a decision because we wanted to start with the situation with Nissan and the Nissan Leaf, which was actually the only car beneath, but also the Mitsubishi Outlander, which was capable of vehicle-to-grid services. Actually at that time, because it was an obligation by the Japanese government after the tsunami, that each electric car should be capable of being a power supply. Something I think which should also be done in Europe. Make it applicable or necessity by law, not telling only that each electric car of each car in 2035 should be electric, but should also be a power supply. This was one of the main reasons we started with the Nissan Leaf. We also did a research with the Technical University, or consult with the Technical University of Delft. We found out that, for instance, a lot of the PV installation, because we wanted solar panels to connect to an electric car, is also a DC system. And so we made a choice to make use of a DC, because I saw the question in the beginning from, what should we do? AC, DC, AC, DC. I think just listen to the band, and that's the best way to do. But we made a choice of using DC as our way to go for.
Yes,
but
yes, this changing in thinking was also evolving of the way we look to all the problems was also that we had a lot of partners, and sometimes we had to leave them because they didn't fit into it. So the first one was Engine and Nissan, but there were a lot of partners after that also that are not fitting into it. Go further with the vision, yes. Sorry.
Yeah, our vision actually is that we, within DeeldeZon, are going to address 4 different themes. First of all, the energy theme. We think that an electric car could be part of the network. First of all, connected to a solar rooftop. Make these solar rooftops connected as a small local grid. And in our vision, the best way to do so is actually generate electricity on a local level, store it on a local level, and use it at a local level. And that's the way where, when vehicle-to-grid can compensate for the need to expand the electricity network. That's what we started with as a goal. We also told we want to use shared cars for this. Because a shared car, and that's the space issue, can at least, not at least, can at least 4, but at max 14 private cars, each shared car. So just give you an idea what kind of space you can win by just making use of shared cars in our economy or in our society. And I think we have now 9 million cars in the Netherlands. I think 7 or 8 million in Belgium. And if we could do it like this, we could offer the same mobility with half of it, maybe less. And just imagine how many space can be earned by doing so. Also mobility, I just explained the situation of using shared cars. In our opinion, vehicle-to-grid needs planning. You need to know when the car can be decharged. And a shared car system is also a plannable system. You could make a reservation by telling the car is not available for mobility uses, but only for energy usage at a certain time. Let's make it, in our opinion, 2 of a kind.
Yes, I think it is really necessary that we have to speed up a little bit because otherwise he's getting really angry.
Okay, we'll speed up. The second thing what we find extremely important, because it was already mentioned by you, that vehicle-to-grid can make it more profitable to use an electric vehicle. And in my opinion, shared cars can also offer this option. And even it can become a social winning if you do so. Because, to my opinion, a lot of people can't pay their energy bill anymore. They even get by the suggestion to get rid of their car. And I think that could be a solution for many social problems. And then, it's not only DeeldeZon which we are doing. We have different projects in which we are involved in. For instance, we are working on a self-driving shared car. We had a demo 13th of October this year at the Technical University. So that's also a thing which we are working on. And we are also working on making the shared car part of the inclusive society, making it the shared car as easy as your own car, and also make it a battery on wheels, because the battery on wheels is what we go for. We did a lot of projects in Flanders, a lot of projects in the Netherlands.
You will hear later of them.
Yeah, our partners will explain more about it, so I won't go too into
30 seconds.
Okay. I have to hurry.
Yes.
And I think the best thing what we can do is the lessons learned. Explain to you. First of all, technology. We had a discussion on CHAdeMO, CCS, AC, DC. Actually, we used CHAdeMO as the protocol to go for, but The German and the French industry managed to get to say CHAdeMO is not the protocol to go for. So we are working with the technology which is end of life in Europe. It's not becoming the standard. The installation is difficult. We had the situation that it took us 1 year to discover that the technician, the technology, the electrician switched the wires. It's quite simple, but it was somewhere in the total system that the wires should be switched to make the connection available of communication. Also, the software, and it will be explained later on, you had different types of software. Although it's open source, it still has a lot of things to find out. Also the organization hurdles, because you have to make contact to many organizations. And after a while we came to the conclusion that it's still a jurisdiction issue to get it on the road. And finally, if you don't manage to actually manage all the 3 systems, the rooftop, the charging station, the electric shared car, if one of them fails, the total system fails. But the main issue is we have to change our behavior.
Yes, and one of the behavior things what was quite difficult is the corona time for us, because we normally sit together on cafes on evenings to get people in a shared car, and it was totally finished at that moment. And the last thing, I think, and then we can stop around this, is that we should deliver several systems, but one system is 3 things. It is the sun panels, the pole of the charging element, and the car. And when one of the 3 went on, the project was ending every time. And it is quite difficult with behavior change of the behavior to get all the 3 always done at one location. Yes.
But nevertheless, the best measure you can take is get a Russian president to start a war in Ukraine, yes, increase the energy prices, and even the Dutch ANWB is now telling that the battery on wheels is a way to go for. It's just mentioned in the Kampioen, which is the leaflet of the, what is ANWB in English? I don't know.
Cyclist Association.
Oh, it's a cyclist association which deals with cars. And they are telling now, go for it, because a battery on wheel is actually a great solution.
All right. Thank you, guys. Johan, Janse, Marc, Okhuijsen, partners in crime.